Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana li hada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. As-salatu was-salam wa tayyatu wal-ikram ala Rasulil Musaddad wal-Mustafa al-Amjad wal-Mahmud al-Ahmad Sayyidina wa Moulana wa Maula al-Kawnain wa Jaddil Hasani wal-Husayn Ani Abil Qaseem Muhammad wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin wal-ma'sumin wa la'natullahi a'daihim ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Qala Allah لكتابه الكريم وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters who are listening as well as present here. Continuing with our discussion on the concept of the Mahdi and the idea of the Mahdi and the person of the Mahdi. We have reached a stage after discussing all the preliminaries to the fact that why do we consider Ibn al-Hasan al-Askari as the Mahdi? What are the proofs and what are the reasons why there is a doubt in who is the Mahdi amongst the Shias, between the different groups of Muslims, and of course we are not discussing people outside the Muslim Ummah, because there's a concept of Mahdi amongst the Muslims only. So there is, as you will listen to this discussion today that I have, it will be a short one. I've got two riwayats for you to pay attention to, inshallah ta'ala, and it will bring to light why there was a doubt amongst the Shias and amongst Muslims in the times gone by, because we are much sure of the Mahdi now than we were before. At the time of the Imam Mehdi, there was more doubt than it is now. So we'll come to the reasons why. And this today's lecture only, inshallah ta'ala. So the first hadith that I've got is narrated by Salman al-Farsi radiyallahu ta'ala. He says, he reports, and this is in Al-Kafi, reported by Sheikh Kulaini. And he says that once he visited Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he saw Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam sitting on his lap. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was kissing Hussein on his eyes and on his forehead and everywhere. And he was saying that you are a noble son of a noble. You are an imam, son of an imam. You are the proof of God, son of his proof, and the father of 9 proofs from your descent, and the 9th will be the Qaim. So this was the hadith narrated by Salman al-Farsi. Now many Sunni scholars, this is not a Shia hadith only, many Sunni scholars have narrated this, because my focus has been on what our brothers in Ahl Sunnah, the scholars over there, are saying. Because nowadays in our time we don't have any doubt about the concept of the Mahdi and the Imam al-Mahdi and who is he. We are just waiting and we are just preparing for him, inshallah. Our preparations will go in further stronger swings now that we're learning about him. So there's not much of a doubt amongst the Shia Isna Ashari, but there is a question raised by the Sunni scholars. However, this hadith is in Sunni books, narrated by, I'll name this person because he's not very commonly known. This person is called Musayyad Muwaffaq Kharzmi al-Hanafi. He wrote in his Maqtal al-Hussein, in the 7th chapter, this hadith of Salman al-Farsi. Actually, to just go aside a little bit, the Maqtal al-Hussein, the writing of the Maqtal al-Hussein was actually started by Sunni scholars. Now you wouldn't believe that. This is my area. Why are they taking, you're giving everything to them? It's not them and us. It is about facts and history. And the fact is that when everything starts from Abu Makhdaf. He was the one who wrote the entire Maqtal, and all the people who wrote the history, the Maqtal of Hussein alayhi salam, took it from him. Some aspects of it, and they took it from some other people as well. But the main source is Abu Makhdaf. And he will come as a reference in all these history books who have written Maqtal al-Hussein. So Maqtal al-Hussein is basically the narration of the incident that happened in Karbala in 61 after Hijrah. And that was a common thing among Sunni scholars as well. It's not our forte, it's not our domain, we don't own it. Hussein alayhi salam is for everybody, was for everybody, always will be for everybody. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. So he wrote in his Maktab, and another scholar which you are a little more familiar with is Al-Hafiz Al-Qunduzi, and the book you're more familiar with is Ya Nabi Al-Muwadda. This book was written basically on the ayat in the Quran, Muwaddat al-Qurba. He wrote this book based on that everybody has to love the Prophet and his progeny. So in his book, Al-Qunduzi, he was a very famous scholar, be well known amongst Shia Sunnis. He writes this hadith and he has a different twist to it as well. He actually narrates it from Imam Hussein alayhi salam himself through Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And he says that, that Imam Hussein, this is narrated from Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, that his father told him that when he went to visit his grandfather one day, and then he took him in his lap and then he kissed him and he said that you are a noble, son of a noble, and all that, and the entire hadith. So this, he actually, Al-Qunduzi actually narrates it directly from, taking it from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So this is not something that, we have to lay claim on. If somebody says that it is in our books as well, then we say, yeah, surely, if it's in your books, then why don't you come to us? Come to our majalis. Listen to us, what we talk about. So this is one way of commonality. The only problem here is, my dear brothers and sisters, is that the fact that this is in all Muslim books has been hidden, has been stopped from people from knowing, and it has been given to us by them, and it's theirs, this is theirs. They only created these things, it is theirs, not ours. But the fact is, it is theirs. As Albani said in the beginning, right in our beginning lectures, that the belief in the Mehdi, the concept of the Mehdi, is a zururiyat of religion. If you decline that, you are not a Muslim. I mentioned this in the early lectures when I was starting on the concept of the Mehdi. So he narrates this. Now these narrations become very important. You know why? Because as I mentioned just now, that people say that these did not exist at the time of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or at the time of Ali Aimma. Salawat bi So they said these did not exist earlier. It's only these theories created by the Shia scholars of modern times or pre-modern times. It is not. It is right in their books, in our books of all times. From whenever Islam has been there, the last prophet came in, the Messenger of Allah told us all about these things. So so this is it becomes very important to negate these theories that these have been only a pre-modern or modern, narration or creation of these Shias. It is not. This creation is in your books. You go and read Al-Qunduzi's Ya Nabi Al-Muwadda, it will be blatant. And there are so many, akhlaqi ahadith in other Sunni books as well, from Muhaddis al-Dalvi and all those people, that exist there from the time. It's narrated by their scholars, taking it from the time of origins of Islam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Now the question arises, if this hadith existed, then why is there a group of people who call themselves Zaydis, who call themselves Ismailis, and a group of people who call themselves Ithna Asharis? They all knew this. They are all followers of Imams. Zaydis follow 5 or 4, Ismailis follow 7, and that's Imam Musa al-Kadhim is their Mehdi, and Ithna Ashari go up to 12. So why is it that? A very simple explanation to that. What we have now did not exist in the form of books in the past. The knowledge was there, but it was scattered, it was hidden. The taqiyya was so strict that you could not come out and talk about these things openly. So if I knew it, then I kept it with me and it went to my children at the maximum, maybe my brother, or it died with me. That was how hard the taqiyya was at that time. Because killing a follower of the Ahlul Bayt was a common thing. Stripping him of all his property or his pension or whatever was a common thing in those days, just to get rid of these kind of people. Because the establishment was not in favor of these people. So everybody had to be very, very circumspect in how they narrated things from the Imam Mehdi. So it was important that, people did not just sit like me sitting here and you are sitting there. Okay, I know most of you. Well, all of you, in fact, I know, thankfully. But somebody comes in, I wouldn't be concerned about what he's going to do to me. Even if he's my enemy, I wouldn't be concerned that he's going to take action against me because of what I'm narrating. Some other person, because it's not the situation anymore. We are living in a freer time at the moment. Even though it's difficult in many places, we are in a much freer time than it was before. The taqiyya at that time was very, very strong. You had to be very careful what you said and where you said and how you said it. And there were spies all over the place. Some people actually had an agenda, even though they knew the hadith, to distort it and to destroy it. So that was also a ploy. So for these reasons, there was no collection of books as such. And there were books from Sheikh Tusi. The library of Sheikh Tusi in Baghdad was burnt by the Mongols. In the time of the Fatimids in Egypt, the great ruler, according to some, what was his name? Salahuddin Ayyubi. He burnt the entire book selection of the Fatimids in Alexandria, in Iskandria. He burnt it. The fire was so big, it was a bonfire for 3 days. Can you imagine the number of books? Because in those days, there were not books, notepads like these. They were like big books, manuscripts, written with big handwriting and all that stuff. And they were big stuff. So it was like firewood. And once it caught fire, it would burn and burn. So all these resources were burnt and destroyed. And many of it, as I told you, due to taqiyya, it could not be spread. However, when the times became better and people started exchanging knowledge, then what happened was people started collecting these hadiths and printing them. It all started happening a lot more in the Safavid time, which is very close to modern times. In the medieval times, Safavid, they used to do all these collections and print out. And in the Safavid times, a lot of art and architecture and literature developed. Not just about Shias, all kinds of Muslims. The art and literature and architecture developed. People had the freedom of expression. They could express themselves without having the fear of getting killed or tortured. So that continued and still goes on till as technology has increased, mashallah. Now we are at a stage that if you argue with me, I can send you a WhatsApp message or I can send you a link to the internet. Go and check it yourself. I don't even have to argue with you. So these are the developments that are happening. Inshallah, time will come soon when Imam will speak in Makkah and we all will hear it. Yes. Whatever technology that will be, inshallah ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Now, to actually emphasize this point, I have one more narration and then we'll conclude, inshallah, for today. There's a narration that the Mahdi is going to be the 4th descendant of Imam Rida alayhi salam. Because remember, Imam Rida alayhi salam was made the heir apparent by Mamun al-Rashid. He was made, Mamun al-Abbasi made him the heir apparent. Now he's my brother and all that, and he'll be the leader after me. He'll be the king after me, the Khalifa after me. Imam did not accept that, but because he knew what the plan was and what his ideas were. Basically, he wanted to perpetuate his own thing. He wanted to strengthen his own self, and then he was going to kill Imam in any case, which he did. So Imam knew his ploy, what was it, but so he did not accept it as openly as such. But Shias have this misconception that Imam Rida alayhi salam actually was the heir apparent and he should not have accepted. There's discussions on all these things actually. The Imam should not have accepted it. Well, he knows better or the Imam knows better?
Yeah, Imam knows better.
And how come we started giving suggestions to Imam on what he himself should do for Islam? I mean, how did we become wiser than the Imam? That is a problem with us. So we have to be very careful not to step forward. Because in this day and age, all youngsters and even elders who work in corporations, they are taught to be leaders. Everybody has to be a leader in what they are doing. They have to have leadership qualities. You have seminars and you have workshops on leadership. But nobody is taught about followership. When you have the right leader, there has to be a follower, otherwise there's no use for that leader. If everybody is a leader, and there is one right leader as well, so nobody is following anybody. So all are leaders. So what's the point of a leader then? Who is leading? Nobody. So when we know the leader, we should know how to follow and not step up and start suggesting things to the leader themselves. So it is important that we understand that even though we might be very intelligent and we made lots of money, we have a very high position in the company or whatever business we do, we should be careful or not to step over the toes of where we shouldn't be. We should know our position. Inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So this narration is about the meeting which De'bil al-Khuzai had with Imam Rida alayhi salam. Have you heard of De'bil? A very famous poet. In this meeting, he narrated this poetry of his, which is called Madarisul Ayat, about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's household. Can we have a loud salawat from everybody, please? Ijaz bhai, you made it too warm. People are being very relaxed. We need to be cold and there needs to be people shivering so that we are all awake. Inshallah. From next week, inshallah.
Everybody's awake.
You are, mashallah, you're very awake, I know. So it is very comfortable, alhamdulillah. So he narrated this poetry, which is a long poetry in Arabic, and in the presence of Imam alayhi salam in Mashhad. And he was so intense and descriptive and poetic that when he reached the situation of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Imam Rida alayhi salam started to cry. You hear this a lot in the Masayib in Muharram. And when he started to cry, he cried so much that he fainted, lost consciousness. And the people around him, the Khadim said to them, "Will stop it, you're going to kill him. Just stop it." Anyway, when Imam came around to his consciousness again, he said to them, "Will start all over again and recite the whole thing again." The Imam did not say that, no, don't do it, because it's affecting me too hard. Imam said, "Go start all over again and go to the end." And he goes to the end and he talks about, there were 2 verses in Arabic about the Qaim, that the Qaim will be from your progeny, of Rasulullah's progeny, and he will establish justice and peace and equity in a world which is full of injustice and oppression. When he mentioned these 2 verses, Imam alayhi salam put his hand on his head and stood up as a mark of respect and did dua for Faraj. So, Ajalallah ta'ala Faraj. So he did that and said to De'bil, okay, let me stop here. The reason we do that is a sunnat of our Imam alayhi salam. We just don't do it because we feel like saluting our Imam. No, this is a hadith and a sunnah of our Imam, and we follow our Imam alayhi salam in any way, any form as we can. It is a very simple thing to do. So as a matter of respect, we stand up and we talk about Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. So Imam said to De'bil that, what? Ruhul Qudus came to you and narrated these 2 verses from your tongue. You were writing it, but for these 2, Ruhul Qudus came and gave you the inspiration to do it. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to write this. So Imam said that to him, and he said to his Khadim, Imam alayhi salam said to his Khadim, give him 10,000 dirhams of the coins which were minted in the name of Imam alayhi salam. Because remember, elders know this, the Mamun had minted coins in the name of Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, and there were dirhams and dinars for that. And they were very special coins of that. Even now when we go to visit the ziyarat of Imam alayhi salam in Mashhad, they give us those little coins, and we keep it. I still have mine. Every time I go, I collect one. So they say, it increases the rizq and gives barakah and all that stuff, which it obviously does. Imam alayhi salam has lots of, mashallah, miracles and blessings, mashallah. It's amazing what we have, the wealth that we have, which we haven't tapped into yet. Inshallah, we all get a tawfiq to tap more into this wealth of Imam alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So Imam said to his Khadim, give him 10,000 dirhams. And De'bil said to Imam, Ya Mawla, I didn't recite this poetry for money. I recited it out of love and respect for you. So please, I don't want to take this. You take it. If you want to give me a gift, and give me a dress of yours which you have worn, I will use that as my kafan if it's okay with you. So Imam alayhi salam said to him, yes, okay, I will give you my dress. So he asked his Khadim to bring a green dress of his which he used to wear. And then also he said, give him the money back, he will need it. So he said, give it to him. Because there's a sunnah of our Imam alayhi salam al Masumin, when they give something, they never take it back. Right. When they give, they give. But he said, take it, you will need it. So he gave it to him. So Imam got his Khadim to bring his dress, and he gave the dress and said, in this dress, I have done 1,000 night prayers. Ani Shabe Salatul Shab, Tahajjud. And I've done 1,000 Khatm Quran in this dress. So you can take this dress. So, and then you can go on. So he left with that, very happy that he's got a dress. Now, word spread. The devil is in Baghdad, so he's going back. Now he's going via Qom. Now when my teacher was telling us this, he studied from Qom himself, mashallah, mashallah, very good alim, very, 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 very nice alim, very humble man. May Allah increase his tawfiqat. So he used to say, you know how the people of Qom are. When they find out that you've been to the Imam, they will take everything you have been given from the Imam. Yeah. So when you go to Qom, they take everything from you. That's his main point. When you go to Qom, everything is taken from you. So when they will reach the Qom, people were aware that this guy is coming from Mashhad, and he's met Imam Rida alayhi salam. He's had an audience with Imam alayhi salam. So he said, "What has Imam given to him? Give us some from that." So he said, "No, I can't give it to you. He's given me his dress. I can't give that to you. So no, you have to give." He said, "We'll give you 30,000 dirhams. In 30,000, apparently in those times you could buy 3 or 4 houses. In Qom, 3 or 4 houses. He said, "No, there's no price for it. I can't give it to you." So he left Qom after a lot of problems. He left Qom, but as he was going to his destination in Baghdad, they attacked him. And they took the dress from him. And he said, "You are doing this to me. It is not right. I will complain to Imam about this." And then they were like guilty, obviously, they were very guilty. Yeah. Said, "Okay, what we'll do is, we'll cut the sleeve, we'll give you one sleeve, and we'll take the rest." And they gave the money as well. They gave him 30,000 dirhams as well. So, but they took the dress, and he was very, very sad. Anyway, he reached Baghdad. By the time he reached Baghdad, he had a lot of wealth because they gave him the money, and Imam Raza alayhi salam's coins were there as well. So when he reached there, he saw that his wife was very sick, and he loved his wife as most people do. And he loved his wife a lot, and his wife had gone blind. So he called all the doctors and all that stuff, and because Imam had said that you will need this, he had to use those 10,000 for his treatment of his wife. And for one dirham coin was being bought for 10 dirhams. So can you imagine, 10,000 became 100,000. So he got so much money, he treated his wife, but she was not getting any better. And he got a house and all that stuff he bought with all that money. And then what he did after that was he put the sleeve of the Imam's dress on his wife's eyes. She was back to normal. Subhanallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. So this story took this, I need to tell you the full story, but the full story is not important here. What is important here is the fact that a literate person like Tabil, who was well aware of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, who was a learned man himself, was not aware who the Qaim was. Because Imam Rida alayhi salam asked him, when he stood up, then Imam asked him, "Do you know who the Qaim is?" He said, "No, Imam alayhi salam, we have been told by our parents and our forefathers that there is an Imam who's going to come from your family, who's going to be the Mahdi, and he's going to establish justice and peace in a world full of oppression and injustice." So Imam said that, "Yes, after me will be my son Muhammad, and after Muhammad will be his son Ali, and after Ali it will be his son Hassan, and after Hassan it will be his son who will be the Qaim al-Mahdi. And he will establish peace and justice in this world when it is filled with oppression and injustice. So you wait for him." So he asked, "When will we see him?" He said, "That is like foretelling time, and I can't. It is the same example as telling you when Qiyamah is going to come, when resurrection is going to happen. We don't know, and it will come all of a sudden." In fact, there's a Sunni hadith as well in Sunni scholars' books, which they say that the Imam al-Mahdi will be told tonight that he has to reappear tomorrow. That's the amount of time he will get. Allah will say, "Okay, it is time, be prepared, tomorrow is your dhuhr." So it will come suddenly to all of us. So we need to prepare all the time. So that is why. So this is just another proof to say that, the knowledge was not widespread about the Qaim. And that's why at that time people did not know and there was confusion. In our time, there's been a collation of books, there's been opportunities, and even people like that did not know who were close to the Imam Mehdi. So inshallah, next week we'll continue the next rawayat and all that about Imam alayhi salam. May Allah give us the tawfiqat to increase our marifat of Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. May Allah hasten his reappearance and his zuhur, so that we get rid of all the problems that we have. However, Imam is only not coming in because we are not prepared. So may Allah help us to increase our preparation in a wall footing for the reappearance of the Imam alayhi salam. May Allah give us the tawfiqat and also remove any ills that are present in our khalq and in our khulq. All of us who are struggling with any any loans and any qards, may Allah help us to pay them off, inshallah. And today our gathering is sponsored by our dear brother Farooq Bukhari. Inshallah, may Allah increase his tawfiqat and may Allah forgive his marhumeen and increase their status in barzakh and in akhirah, inshallah. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد